One of the things I've noticed is that some of you had trouble with the oversight part of the reading. So what I've done is I've copied it here to kind of go over it to help you focus on some things. In some of the conversations I've had, you are absolutely right in the sense that you do not want to get bogged down in a lot of the historical stuff or a lot of the examples, but please remember that you do need to understand what the examples are trying to tell you. So as we kind of go through this, take a look at oversight. So you should have a header that kind of has, I would say, has the oversight there. And then what you can do is, so start with this header, but then as you kind of go through, make sure that you understand what it is. So it talks about how it is a check and a balance, but what it does is it's saying that it's making sure the bureaucracy is administering the federal programs as Congress is intended. It's a monitoring function, okay? And so it tells you here what it is. All right, so that's kind of important. And then it talks about various tools. So then it goes and it talks about one tool, the Government Accountability Office. Please make sure that you get this correct. If you're going to abbreviate, it has to be correct. Generally, you want to make sure that you understand that GAO stands for Government Accountability Office. And then what you do is it says basically it's a watchdog, and it talks about GAO reports, and it talks about how GAO functions, and it talks about how GAO is, or the GAO is a tool of oversight by Congress. Okay? And then it talks about another method, which is another tool. So it talks again about how committee hearings can be a method of oversight. And then it goes in and captures some of that detail. Make sure that as you're taking some notes that you're not simply writing down committee hearings, GAO. Make sure that you write down and capture what they do, how they function, how those are parts of the oversight. Then we kind of get into this idea of those examples. These are just examples, and you can kind of pick one, but make sure that you understand some of these concepts that it's trying to emphasize. This idea of some scandals, scandals occurring because there was not enough oversight. Okay, and then again it talks about another example, and it talks about weak oversight. Okay, then we start to see this idea of weakness in the oversight. So again, this is all about weakness and things like that. Then it kind of goes back and it gives you a third example, and it talks about this idea of informal means. Use the wording as a clue. It says also exercise oversight. And then basically it goes on and talks about this particular one example. When we look and we continue with the reading, it kind of goes again on, finishes up that informal oversight. And then it gives you the final tool. Okay, the final means, and that's the federal budget. It's not asking you to explain what the federal budget is, but it's basically asking you to understand that Congress can cut or add to budgets, punishing or rewarding if agencies within the federal bureaucracy are found to have been doing something wrong or right through the oversight process. So it's really talking about this relationship. Okay, it's not a check on the president, it's a check on the bureaucracy, which is tasked with implementing the laws. Okay, and then again we've got another example here, and it's talking about the failure of oversight, and it's talking about how oversight here is Congress is going to oversee the president and the bureaucracy of a different party more than their own. For example, now the Congress is controlled by the Republicans. They are going to exercise more oversight over President Obama because he's a Democrat, rather than exercising it over a Republican president. That's about it. So please make sure that you are taking detailed notes as you are going through this, not getting bogged down in all of the examples, but making sure that you are capturing that important detail.